The last section for chapter 1 is rewriting equations and formulas. The learning objective is we are learning to rewrite equations to solve for one variable in terms of the other variable. So oftentimes we call these types of equations literal equations, which is an equation that has two or more variables. To rewrite a literal equation, you solve for one variable in terms of the others. We talked about this briefly in class last week, I believe. Let's say I have the equation A equals BC plus 4. And I want to solve for, let's solve for B. Your goal is to isolate the variable that you're solving for in terms of the other variables. So I'm going to eliminate everything that's near the B. So first I'm going to minus 4 to eliminate that. And I'm left with BC equals A minus 4. Again, I don't know what A is, I don't know what B is, and I don't know what C is, and that's okay. You're just simplifying and solving the equation to then get B alone. These two are joined by multiplication, so I'm going to divide by C. Because look, now I have B all by itself. And you're going to leave it just like this. Okay? So let's try the first example. Solve the equation 2y plus 5x equals 6. So I'm going to rewrite my equation. And I'm solving for y. So the goal is to isolate that y term. I can't do anything with that 2 yet until I eliminate my 5x by subtraction. And then I'm going to do it on the other side of the equal sign as well. So that leaves me with 2y equals, now 6 minus 5x, they are not like terms. I cannot combine them and get 1x. So I just rewrite it as 6 minus 5x. Now I'm going to get rid of the 2, the coefficient, by doing division. Divide by 2 to make this a 1. Which means I have to divide this whole side by 2. So I'm left with y equals 6 minus 5x minus 2. Now, sometimes you can leave it just like this. You want to simplify it as much as you can. Sometimes I'm going to ask you to pull it apart. And what I mean by that, especially when we get to the next chapter, which is graphing equations, because we're going to actually graph this specific equation, you're going to want it to pull it apart. And what do I mean by that? Well, the y equals 6 minus 5x divided by 2. 2 is divided by both numbers in the numerator. So we want to rewrite it like this. Y equals 6 minus 5x. The 6 is divided by 2 and the 5x is divided by 2, both of them. Because now look, I can simplify. What is this 6 divided by 2? My final equation is y equals 3 minus 5x over 2. You can't simplify. So this is our final answer. Again, this is okay, but this is where you want to be, especially for next chapter. Example number 2. The formula for the surface area S of a cone is surface area equals pi r squared plus pi r L. So pi we use in circles, r stands for radius, and L, you're solving the formula for the slant height, which they are calling L. A formula is an equation that describes the relationship between two or more quantities. So to solve this equation for L, I have to get everything over to the other side by doing the inverse. So I'm just going to rewrite my equation, pi r squared plus pi r, and let's do a fancy L, so it doesn't look like a 1. So I'm first going to get rid of this plus pi r squared by subtracting pi r squared. And then I also have to subtract it on the other side. So I'm left with pi r L equals s minus pi r squared. Okay, again, don't stress out that you don't know what the s is, you don't know what the r is. We're just isolating to get that one variable by itself. Now, these three terms are all joined by multiplication. So you can divide separately, but let's do it in one step. divide by pi r, divide by pi r, because pi divided by pi is 1, r divided by r is 1. So you're left with your L, which is what we're looking for. And this you are just going to leave as a fraction. Okay? So L, in terms of all the other variables, is equal to S, the surface area, minus pi r squared, all divided by pi r. That's it. The last example is for temperature conversion. A formula for converting from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius is shown. So C equals 5/9 of the quantity F minus 32. C is Celsius and F is Fahrenheit. You might use this, we use Fahrenheit here in the United States, but if you went abroad to, let's say, Europe, they use Celsius. So you might want to figure out the temperature converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So we're going to take this and solve for F. So to eliminate this fraction first, remember when a fraction is joined by multiplication, we're going to do the reciprocal. Let's write that word down again because you tend to forget it and it's usually the way to go. So I'm going to multiply this side by 9/5, which means I have to multiply C by 9/5 because this 5/9 and this 9/5 will cancel out. And I'm just left with F minus 32 equals 9/5 of C. Remember, they're joined by multiplication, so just put them right next to each other. So I'm almost done. I have Fahrenheit minus 32, so let's get rid of this 32 by doing the inverse. I'm going to add 32 to the other side, and I'm left with the Fahrenheit. To find Fahrenheit, you take 9/5 of the Celsius temperature and add 32. That's it.